Hey, all. It's a Thursday night. Normally, I try to get these done early in the day, but a change in working conditions has probably impacted my schedule here. And we'll probably be getting these more Thursday evening rather than the Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon of the past. Let's get a little housekeeping keeping out of the way for pro wrestling fans. This has been a downer week. Terry Funk passed away. Terry Funk was an old man in his 70s. So, not surprising, I guess is the word I'm looking for. But also Bray Wyatt, at the age of just 36, passed away. So, rough times in the pro wrestling community. In the MMA community, Conor McGregor is losing his mind on social media. It seems he's doing the old, he's doing the classic post and delete idea with some just rants that I don't. I'll just put it out there that they are sad, and I'm not going any deeper into the breakdown of them. So there you go. And is there anything else? There was a lovely interview with Sean Strickland about fighter pay and MMA being the common man sport. I'm going to say one thing here. I agree with Sean Strickland that MMA is the closest thing, combat sports in general, but MMA in particular, is the closest thing you're going to get to a common man sport. Because weight classes. If you're born the size of a flyweight, you're not competing in basketball. You're not competing in football. You're not competing in baseball. Soccer, maybe. Soccer's your chance. Actually, I would say soccer/football. That is actually the common man sport. But, like in America, based on the big sports, there is a point that, like, yeah, sure. Regardless of what size you are, as long as you're not physically handicapped or like a little person, yeah, you can find something to compete in combat sports. Here's the thing, though. He also went into like the whole like through hard work, you right there, you sitting on your couch right now, UFC champion, you can do it. And the answer to that is no. And this is kind of relevant because on this particular card, this card right here, there's a lot of guys who I'm going to have the words missing physical X factors, missing physical components to being a very, very good fighter. That's going to pop up a lot on this card. And that's true for Sean Strickland and MMA fighters. Like, Sean Strickland is a title contending middleweight in the world, essentially because people his size that are actually athletic do something else. I kind of had this with like the Terrence Crawford thing when, it's like, oh, if Terrence Crawford like took MMA training seriously, he'd be really, really good. Yeah, he would. But at the same time, why would he? The pay's not good enough. You make more money doing basically every other sport at a high level. So if you could do any other sport at a high level, you do it. There's the answer. All right, let's get into the fight card. This is the Singapore card. Max Holloway, Korean Zombie, retirement fight for the Zombie. At least that's how it's being marketed. And as a main event, the Zombie versus Holloway is name value. It's nostalgia. It's hitting fans in the feels, essentially. But as a fight, I don't expect it to be good. Not that I think it is going to be boring or anything like that. Like, Max Holloway is largely incapable of a boring fight. The Zombie is largely incapable of a boring fight. But, like, what does Zombie have for Holloway at this point in his career? He is kind of washed. Not washed in the way that, like, I wouldn't pick him to beat anybody. Not washed in the way of Tyron Woodley coming down or Chris Weidman and body falling apart or something like that. But, like, realistically, he was a guy who for a lot of years, relied on being able to take an insane amount of punishment to then win. Basically, you tired out from kicking his butt. And then, his high level of technical grappling, judo, and counterpunching would come in handy and get the job done. It's Max Holloway. Max Holloway is going to control the range. He's going to control the pace. He's not... If the zombie can hit him with counterpunches, and he probably will at some point, Max Holloway is not a defensive savant. He'll just take him and keep coming. And keep throwing and keep putting the volume on. Keep breaking him down with combinations, with the jab, with the low kick. With basically Max Holloway is the walking metagame of pace striking that has taken over high-level MMA. And there's not really anything interesting here. I think he's just going to finish the zombie at some point in this fight. So Holloway by TKO. I'll be there cheering. I'll be there, number one fan, Korean Zombie. But I don't really see how he gets the job done. And the betting odds, of course, are exceedingly wide, minus 750 to minus 950 on Holloway, plus 500 to plus 590 on the Zombie. And honestly, those could be wider. Anthony Smith, Ryan Spawn 2. That's a pretty interesting fight, honestly. It's a fight that's already happened. Smith won by rear naked choke, I believe it was. Some kind of submission. Some kind of choke. And the question is really, Ryan Spawn is a guy who has every physical tool factor that you would want in a 205. He's explosive. He's fast. He's got an absurdly long reach and build. 6'5" with an 81.5-inch reach. My lord, he's strong. He's got kind of low end NFL physique, physical tools basically. And for a lot of his career, he's not taken this terribly seriously. And when he does take it seriously, he's terrifying. But even when he does take it seriously, there is a lack of defense to his game. There's a lack of patience to his game. There's over-aggression to his game. There's getting finished to his game. And there's just incredibly bad decision-making to his game. That being said, the history of Anthony Smith fighting people who outreach him, are bigger than him, is not good. It's essentially beat Ryan Spawn and lose to everybody else. And additionally, on top of that, in his last fight with Johnny Walker, there was just a mental health scary moment of Anthony Smith literally yelling at Johnny Walker, "You're trying to hurt my family." I forget if that was a direct quote or not, but there was something like that. People have suggested reliving the home invasion that he had happened to him a while back. I don't know if that was the case, but there's something wrong with Anthony Smith right now. He is not all there. And until he is, I can't pick him. I picked him against Johnny Walker, and that let me down. Spawn can lose this fight. Spawn can lose any fight. The guy is, like I said, defensively void, too aggressive, not super durable, prone to just the worst decision making ever, and all of those things could lead him to losing here. But it's, I guess, a bit of a sadness hedge. If he loses, it means Anthony Smith is maybe okay and has his shit together. Maybe. But yeah, I am gonna go with Spawn to win. Smith has seemed kind of done it a couple times, but he seems particularly done here. I've got Spawn by TKO. Just the athlete being too much of an athlete for the guy who has made a career out of being tough and being gritty, but not being much of an athlete. Speaking of the common man, Anthony Smith, common man, Ryan Spawn, the guy who, with better dedication, probably could be on an NFL roster somewhere, practice roster at least. Giga Chikadze versus Alex. Betting odds. Spawn is the favorite at minus 125 to minus 138. Smith is the underdog at plus 105 to plus 110. I wouldn't bet on this fight. Giga Chikadze, Alex Caceres. Frustrating fight. Every Alex Caceres fight is frustrating because Alex Caceres is a guy who has surprising physical ability, great build for the division, great reach, great skill set. Great skill set. The man is a good grappler, a good wrestler, a pretty good striker. If he would just fight with a game plan that highlights his opponent's weaknesses, he would be very good. Very good. But he doesn't. He does sometimes. There are random little blips in Alex Caceres' career where he's put together a fight and you're like, wow, where is that guy like any other time? Where is that guy every single other fight where he fights a range kickboxer in a range kickboxing match, spinning stuff? Where is that guy when he's fighting a BJJ, awesome fighter, and then is like, I need to find out if I can out-grapple this guy. This guy who only grapples, I need to find out if I can do that. And with Giga Chikadze, you have the good range kickboxer. Not, I feel like a very overrated kickboxer. Like, there are people who want to treat Giga Chikadze as like a really, really good kickboxer. It's like, not really. He's a perfectly fine kickboxer who happens to have good power and some cool kicks. Like that, he's not Israel Adesanya level. He's not Alex Pereira level. He's not Crow Cop level even. To go with a in the day one. He's just better at striking than most MMA fighters. Which is not hard because he did spend a large portion of his life training for kickboxing and not MMA. One would hope he's kind of ahead of the game. I am picking him here, though, because I think Caceres is the kind of dummy who will just engage in that fight with him. And the pre-fight stuff that's going on between these two is not making me feel any better about that. It's a lot of, it feels like Caceres looking past Giga. It's him talking about striking with Giga. And this usually isn't a misdirection when he does it. This is an actual statement of intent. So if he's going to go out there and have a kickboxing match with Giga Chikadze, he is going to lose. If he goes out there and has a grappling match with Giga Chikadze, or even an MMA fight with Giga Chikadze, he probably will win. But I don't trust him to do that. So I have Giga by decision because Caceres is stunningly durable. That's another thing. Like, ridiculously durable guy, good cardio. Really, there's everything here. There is everything here to have a top 145er in the world in Alex Caceres. And even fighting relatively silly, he is still one of the best guys in the division in the world. Actually, kind of curious. Where does he rank on Tapology? Which is the best quick reference I have. I'm imagining top 20. Yeah, 16th. They got him 16th in the world. They got him ahead of guys like Leeroy Murphy, Nathaniel Wood, Jonathan Pierce, Billy Quarantillo, Damon Jackson, Joe Anderson Brito, Nate Landwehr, Hakeem Dawodu, Pat Sabatini, etc. And that is with him not fighting smart. But he is against a guy who has one aspect of the game that he is better than at, and he's going to probably consent to fight that game. Odds-wise, Giga is a minus 225 to minus 250 favorite. Caceres plus 188 to plus 2,000, or 200, not 2,000. Rinya Nakamura versus Fernie Garcia. Nakamura is the guy who won the bantamweight tournament on the road to the UFC. The Asian, let's develop the Asian market a little bit, get some fighters in. He looks pretty good. Like he's a good athlete. He is a good wrestler. I don't remember exactly what his wrestling pedigree is, but he has like some competitive wrestling background, and like you could just, everything he does has that explosive snap to it. When he strikes, it has that explosive snap. When he goes for the takedown, it has that explosive snap to it. Do I have questions? Absolutely, because the guy hasn't fought anybody. The guy he beat in the finals, who I'm going to talk about in a bit, Kazama, not good. The guys he beat before that, not good. So we're in that kind of case where it's like, there is clear physical ability here. There is clear wrestling ability here. Even though he's only gone deep in one fight, he has one decision win. I trust his cardio. I don't think that that's a question. My question is, what happens when you get pushback? When somebody doesn't fold because you're a better athlete than them? That's the question. Or when you meet up with someone who just is a really good athlete. The second part is not going to be tested here because Fernie Garcia is not a spectacular athlete. That's all there is to it. But he is a tough guy. He is a good decision maker. He is a fairly well-rounded guy. He predominantly wants to be a pocket boxer. Predominantly wants to be a combination striker. And he's probably better than that at Nakamura because from what I've seen of Nakamura has like athletic wrestler striking. Like everything is explosive and everything, but there's not really a consideration to combinations or where you're going to be after you throw the punch or defense. Like the guy is very open to getting hit. Problem is that Fernie Garcia, not a big finisher. And most of his finishes that he does have, rear naked chokes. I don't see him getting on the back here. So I see Nakamura having to go deep in this fight. I have him winning by decision. But it would not honestly surprise me if this were the bump in the road that a lot of fighters go through. Like a lot of fighters go through this. Where they come in and they've got a great background credentials. And they go in there, but like a Josh Koscheck, Drew Fickett moment, even to be honest, like a Josh Koscheck, Talis latest moment is like potentially on the cards here. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Pretty early in his career, Phil Davis had this moment. And King Mo had moments like this. The Fei Xiao fight, particularly. Like, this is all on the table. There is every ingredient of a very, 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 very good fighter in Rinya Nakamura. But I do kind of... I feel like I haven't seen him in a fight. That's the problem. I do have him by decision here, but I do think the minus 704 to minus 950 line is a bit ridiculous. For comparison purposes, the range on Fernie Garcia is the same range as the Zombie has. Plus 500, plus 590. Rinya Nakamura against Fernie Garcia is as big of a favorite as Max Holloway is. That is wild. That is insane. This is the fight that should actually be the co-main event. The flyweight bout between Erin Blanchfield and Taila Santos. Because this is a number one contenders fight. I wouldn't have put it on this card. Because this card is on really early in the morning. So the live numbers are not going to be great. And you're building someone towards a title shot who doesn't have local support. Like neither Santos nor Blanchfield are from this area of the world. So I'm very confused why this fight is on this particular card. But I like the fight. I love the fight as a number one contender fight. It's a fight where you have these two women who are very used to being the stronger woman, to being the more physically imposing, specifically clinch fighter of them and their opponent. And there's a chance one of them will just big sister the other than clinch. Like, that is on the table. Like, if we get into a clinch and one of them instantly dominates it, that may not be the end of the fight, but like that may be the end of the fight as far as a developing dynamic and narrative. So the question basically becomes, who do I think has better secondary skill sets? Which I think the answer is Blanchfield, because Santos looks not bad as a striker, but distinctly uncomfortable. Blanchfield doesn't have the greatest form as a striker, but she has that confidence, that application that makes it a little bit better And she did just kind of wreck Jessica Andrade. Oh boy. That was painful to watch. I'm going to go with Blanchfield, but like it won't surprise me either way. You have, like I said, that first clinch is going to tell us a lot. It's just, I think Blanchfield has more comfort in other areas. I think she'll probably have the slightly better cardio of the two. She seems like a fitness machine in a way Santos does not. And she also seems to be the one that is developing rapidly. Like every time we see Erin Blanchfield, there is something new, something exciting that she has to bring to the table and to dominate. Like the Erin Blanchfield who beat Jessica Andrade was not the Erin Blanchfield who beat Molly McCann or JJ Aldridge or Miranda Maverick or Sarah Alpar or Brogan Walker or, well, maybe a little bit of the Victoria Leonardo. But Victoria Leonardo is also just not very good. And I think her only loss being to Tracy Cortez, I think that she's really become something new over that time period. Even though if you look at Cortez and you look at Santos, there are some similarities there, and we'll find out. But I've got Blanchfield by decision because Santos is really, really hard to finish. She is the minus 148 to minus 157 favorite. Santos plus 170 to plus 125. And then we move on to back-to-back heavyweight fights, and they can burn in a fire in a trash can. And oh my God, why? Why are you making me watch this? Junior Tafa, Parker Porter, the lesser Tafa. Not a big believer in the Tafa brothers. I'm just not. Like, it goes for like both of them. They're both like hard-hitting guys with basic striking and are very durable and are, reasonably athletic. Like, there are people they'll beat, but like I don't think they're going to high places. And yeah, sure, Junior Tafa could absolutely knock out Parker Porter. Parker Porter's been knocked out before. He's got some durability issues. But I like his game a lot more. It's more varied. It goes boxing and grappling, which is a big deal. He's looking way more fit lately. My lord, Parker Porter is looking like a man on a mission to fit into an old suit. You watch that fight with Tafa and like Mo Usman, and it's like Porter can do a lot about what Mo Usman was doing and do it better. And Usman won that fight. So I'm going with Parker Porter by decision. It's probably going to be ugly. Tafa is the favorite. I get that. Porter's been knocked out a number of times. Minus 138 to minus 160. Porter plus 110 to plus 130. Let's go, Parker Porter. And then Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Lucas Brzeski. I will say this unquestionably. Waldo is the higher ceilinged fighter. For a heavyweight, he's actually a very good athlete. And he doesn't have like any kind of like debilitating lack of confidence, fear, panic to him. Like he goes out there and it's like he looks pretty competent, pretty comfortable, and that's perfectly fine. But he is not good. He does not have a round-winning style. He's powerful, but he doesn't knock people out. He's not a great decision maker. He will randomly showboat for no real reason in the middle of fights. And while Lucas Brzeski is not remotely close to being the athlete he is, not anywhere close, he is a guy who is a good technician, throws a lot of pace, pushes a pace, throws a lot of volume and pushes a lot of pace, and does seem to be fairly tough. Like his problem is like kind of a standard heavyweight problem of when you wrestle him, heavyweights are huge and hard to move. He's at his ceiling. He didn't have the X factors, but I trust him to fight a winning fight minute to minute. I don't trust that in Waldo Cortez Acosta. I trust Brzeski to remain conscious, and I'm taking him by decision. He is the underdog, plus 185 to plus 200. I don't blame that. Cortez Acosta has all the shiny things, but he also really struggled to fight Chase Sherman and Jared Vanderaa. Yeah. It's one of those fights that like in 2 to 3 years, yeah. Cortez Acosta will be way better, but Bresky is better right now. Cortez Acosta is minus 225 to minus 250. Toshiomi Kazama versus Garrett Armfield. Speaking of Kazama, this is the guy that Nakamura beat in the road to the UFC tournament. He's not good. He's got good regional level wrestling. And he's got some submissions, but they're not the submissions you see in the UFC at this level. There are a lot of like arm locks and a couple of heel hooks, I think, in there as well. It's not going to work well, I don't think. He also seems a bit chinny. Defensive striking is non-existent. His striking is pretty bad. Garrett Armfield is a nice and well-rounded fighter. Don't let that loss to David Onama fool you. David Onama is a beast. And Armfield's actually a pretty good athlete. He's got it's not a super complex game. Like the guy goes out there, throws a little bit of pocket boxing at you, and then, wants to wrestle. But like he's also at Kill Cliff learning some new things. And I expect we'll see some of those new things. And like I said, Kazama just not very good. That was kind of the problem with the road to the UFC tournament is that, well, Nakamura looks like a genuine stud from that whole thing. No one else really seemed to be that. And, Armfield is a minus 162 to minus 175 favorite. I'm taking by TKO, by the way. Kazama is plus 130 to plus 140. Chiji Njukwane versus Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. I love this fight. I love it because Oleksiejczuk is going to bring the fight to Chidi because he does not know how to fight any other way. Chidi's going to throw some good shots back at him, and Oleksiejczuk probably is just going to lose because at the end of the day, I don't think he has the physical aspects to get this done. He is a hyper-paced fighter, highly aggressive fighter, but he does get tired. He does fade. He does have some cardio issues. He's not the fastest. He's not the hardest hitter. Chidi is a very hard-hitting guy, very good striker, very good cardio, actually. Like a guy who will fight hard for 15 minutes. I've got Chidi TKOing him at some point. Probably fight of the night. Oleksiejczuk's the minus 110 to minus 125 favorite. Chidi is minus 110 to plus 100. I don't know why Chidi is the underdog here. I know it's like basically a pick'em fight. Like it's basically a flip a coin fight at like plus 100 to minus 125 and whatever. But like, he's beaten guys better than this. And like, I can't say Oleksiejczuk has beaten anyone as good as Chidi. Realistically, like I'm looking at Oleksiejczuk's record, and his best win is Modestus Bukauskas, maybe? Like this is a guy who lost to Jimmy Crute, lost to Oven St. Preux, lost to Dustin Jacoby, lost to Kyle Bahayo. Like there's a lot of ways to beat him. And in Chidi's case, it's a guy who, he's coming off of 2 straight losses, losing to Gregory Rodriguez and Albert Duraev. But like Duraev doesn't fight anything like what Oleksiejczuk fights. And Rodriguez is the closer comparison. And Rodriguez very nearly got stopped. And Rodriguez is very, very good. Like this is also very similar to the Marc-Andre Barrio fight, which took 16 seconds for Chidi to find the button and push it good night. Anyways, rant over. Picking Chidi. Let's go on to the next fight. Kenan Song versus Rolando Bedoya. I'm pretty excited for this fight as well. Bedoya is a pretty one-note, pace, volume, tough guy striker. Loves to box in the pocket. Loves to do what he's doing. And Song is a little bit too low output for his own good, but very, very powerful. Very, very clean single strikes. I like a lot of what he does. But at the end of the day, I'm going to trust Bedoya to put out the volume and put out the pace and show off his pretty big, like really good toughness combined with slipping punches and combined with like good head movement. His fight against Chaos Williams was like really, 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 really good. And Chaos Williams has a much more round-winning meta style, but he has the ultimate round-winning meta style than Kenan Song. Like, there's a reason that Kenan Song has had such a rough time in the UFC. Like, it's not just losing to Ian Gary, but like it's losing to Alex Morono, losing to Max Griffin. You know, and more importantly, I think it's, you look at the guys he's beaten, it's Bobby Nash, Hector Aldana, Derek Krantz, and Callan Potter, who are all not particularly great athletes, don't have any particular great abilities to them. Except for Bobby Nash. Bobby Nash actually a reasonably good athlete, but like also a guy with not a good chin. And you look at this outside of the Krantz fight, it's, you know, it's a lot of early knockouts. Potter and Nash. Aldana went into the second round. By the way, Hector Aldana is not a good fighter. You should not be going in the second round with him. And yeah, he went to the distance with Derek Krantz, but Derek Krantz is bad. Bedoya, I have a fair amount of faith in to be that action level fighter, to get in there, get it done. And he is the favorite, minus 275 to minus 333. Song is plus 225 to plus 250. It's a bettable line if you think Song's going to knock him out. Kinoshita versus Yusaku Kinoshita. There we go. Versus Billy Goff. I'm going with Billy Goff by TKO, but it does not feel good. Billy Goff is not going to be in the UFC very long. He's not a very big welterweight. He is probably more like a lightweight. Honestly, probably even maybe as low as a featherweight. But like, he is very persistent, very, very aggressive. And Kinoshita is like an incredibly poor man's version of like Lyoto Machida. Like there is some great timing, great accuracy, great counter window stuff. Great. There is incredibly shiny stuff to his game, but it doesn't hold up under pressure very well or under any kind of disruption of his rhythm. And just everybody's going to kind of do that in the UFC. Like Kinoshita it's kind of like the Waldo Cortez Acosta and Lucas Brzeski fight, although both of those are better than these guys. In the sense that like Kinoshita has like the UFC potential, like he has the physical aspects to actually be here long term, and Billy Goff does not. But at the same time, there's just a horrendous flaw to his game right now. And I've got Goff by TKO. He's the plus 110 to plus 125 underdog, minus 135 to minus 150 on Kinoshita. Would not bet on this fight. Also, disclaimer, do not bet what you cannot lose. But I would not bet on this fight just because maybe Kinoshita's been working on things and can put it together, but he fell apart when Adam Vugit pressured him, which was still one of my prouder calls in a long time. Nan Liang versus JJ Aldridge. I have very, very few notes for this fight because Liang is a Ronda Rousey Chinese knockoff in the sense that the best part of her game is a clinch into an armbar. She's not a competent striker. She's not a particularly good athlete. She is not going to win. JJ Aldridge is not a good athlete either, but JJ Aldridge is as well put together a fighter as you can get on low athleticism. There's volume to her game. There's persistency to her game. There's clinch work to her game. There's solid grappling to her game. She's just not very powerful, not especially strong. But she prepares. If you're going to ask one question of her, you're not going to win. And Nan Liang, pardon me. I'm using the topology order. Is not going to do that. Aldridge by decision. She's a minus 520 to minus 700 favorite. Plus 390 to plus 470. My XSplit camera wants to update itself. Choi, aka Sting, versus Yarno Aarons. Flip a coin. Sting is the guy who has sold me on various points is like a good fighter. Like that he's got good accuracy, good timing, good stinging punches. Like that there is a very, 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 very good level of talent there. But like at the same time, there is a lot of losing. there's a lot of things just never working out. Sorry, I have the hiccups. And Aarons is a complete mess. I'll go with Sting to beat Aarons, but it won't surprise me either way. I have legitimately no idea how this fight looks. But I got Choi by decision. He is the hiccups. Minus 150 to minus 175 favorite. Aarons is plus 125 to plus 150, so it seems like people are leaning that direction. And I'm just going to remind you to check out the social media and all the links down below, or to the left, to the right, wherever it is, in the description. And I will see you after the fights.